Hail, Comrade Biden.
Go away. We're starting.
Okay, mics are.
Crap, this isn't going to give me time to shoot.
Hey guys, welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. I'm Mike.
What is up?
That's Massey.
Hey, so we are back this week with some awesome people, some guests. Obviously, you saw last week. By the way, before I even get into any of that, we're going to walk right into this. So what we are doing is this series of Be the Majority is starting off with a bang. We had Julie McCarty last week, which was incredible. We got to share our story, Self-Evident, how it started, why we started it. And you know what? It's being prospered and blessed right now. And there's other people and giants that have gone before us that we're walking the footsteps of. Today, we got a very special guest. We'll introduce her in a minute. But first, there is much going on right now. There is a lot going on. But before we do that, go to theselfevidenttruth.com, theselfevidenttruth.com. And I'm going to ask you right now, if you could take just 10 seconds, share this podcast with your friends. Label it something cool like, hey, learn how to submit to government. Here, we love comrades. We love government. We love socialism, all that stuff, so that they watch it. But that's the point. Why don't you guys take your time?
That might be considered clickbait.
Right. Tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're coming from, where you're watching from, all that stuff. So share the podcast. We want you guys to do that.
We're going to give a couple of seconds. We know we're late. We had some technical difficulties, of course, but that's all right. We're powering through.
Yes.
We don't care. We're going to keep moving forward. So we're going to give people a little bit of time to get in, to get settled, sit down on your couch, get yourself some popcorn, put it up on the TV, turn the volume up because you're going to have a good night with us tonight. We're ready to do this. We're ready to have a lot of fun with you guys, as well as give you some news and give a very important interview on this series, guys. This series is going to teach you how to do some stuff. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Massey, you ready? All right, let's do the news bits. Let's get into it right away.
Come on, somebody.
Let's do it. Slide number 1. Here we go. Biden's infrastructure bill.
Hot dog.
Oh, guys, I don't know about you, but I was super excited about this. I was so happy to see trillions more dollars thrown out.
Tell us where you're from, folks. Come on. We're seeing a ton of shares right now. Sorry, go ahead.
More money. Hey, Massey, more money.
Yeah, something like that.
Did you know that more money solves all the problems?
What are we at now? $4 trillion in the spending bill?
It's 2 bills, equal about $4 trillion bucks.
Right, but let me say something before on the onset. You guys know where we stand on this crap. If you're a conservative right now, say, oh my gosh, I can't believe what Biden is doing. Look, President Trump just outspent Democrats in his last election.
Yep.
In 4 years. He outspent what we did in 8. So don't start pointing the finger at the other side if we're not willing to point it on our own. Because there's a lot that happened there. We have to be honest with each other. That's really what Christians should do. That's what real patriots should do. It doesn't matter who does it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. I've seen nothing of Biden that he's done right so far. So we have nothing to praise. At least Trump did some things that were like many things that were good. But like this is outrageous.
And we caught flack for pointing out the stuff that Trump did wrong.
Right. It wasn't against him. It was about restoring the republic. It had nothing to do with President Trump as a person. I didn't care about who he was as a person. I'm saying do your job. That's it. Do it right. And you know what? He had some bad advice. I'm sure he had some bad counsel, all those other things. Because you know what they do? The Republicans play the game. You know what I mean? Like they'll promise you the world and yet deliver you slavery. It's exactly what they do. They promise. It's like sin. They promise. And once you start engaging in it, it takes you farther than you want to stay. And that's what happens. We just put our trust in people. Like even now, they're talking about Governor Ron DeSantis hopefully running in 2024. I don't want him to run for president. I don't. I want him to stay here so he can teach other governors how to be governors. Or who are we raising in DeSantis's place? Number one. Number two, so what if he runs for president? Why are we trusting in one man to fix the problems? This is dangerous talk. I want him to stay in Florida. I want him to stay here. I want us to continue to reelect the dude so he can run our state according to Article 10.
I think what we really want is somebody to run it with the same kind of attitude that Washington had of, I don't want this.
I don't want the
right? I don't
power.
want the power. And everybody credits Washington with being the one who said, I'm doing 2 terms and I'm done. No more. Yeah. Right. And we got to have a man who's like, I don't want to be in power. I'm just doing this because I have to. And the thing about Democrats is at least they're honest in what they want to accomplish. Republicans tend to sell you down the river. Oh, well, we don't. Okay. So I want to cover this bill because this thing's this is the Democrat move right here, right? This is the thing that they're looking to do. So we're going to get started with this. It's going to be funded by raising the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. So Trump was finally the one to lower the
tax rate,
corporate tax rate to be competitive, but Democrats, of course, come right back in and say, "Well, we want to raise it back up."
You know what's so stupid is when Biden introduces a spending bill, he says we can afford it. No, we can't.
No, we can't.
We haven't been able to afford this since before Bush.
We can't afford a soda
right now. No, dude. It's so funny. They think that whole what's that MMT?
MMT.
MMT. Yeah,
modern monetary
theory. Yeah, modern monetary theory is that government can just print it. It comes from the government. No, it doesn't. It comes from the production of us. They don't have that. So what happens is we get a Federal Reserve involved, which. Guys, we should end the Fed. This is exactly what we need to be talking about. Is ending. I don't care. End the Fed. Hashtag this. End the Fed because they've been destroying our monetary system for years, and our government fell into it, dude. And that's what happens when you have a central bank controlling all these things. We're in hock to one person. Literally, tyranny is on our land, and we don't even realize that they're destroying the currency.
Yeah. And to continue with this. Those making over 400,000 will have a rate of 39.6%.
Oh my gosh.
Almost 40% because you're making more. And we'll get to the whole attitude about this, right? It'll institute a global minimum tax on profits from foreign organizations. Capital gains tax could be set as high as 43% for the wealthiest people.
Oh my gosh.
Why bother investing at that point? Because any capital you get out of it, government takes half. Do you realize that? And I'm speaking to those who support this type of thing. They take about half of what you do. That should scare everybody.
It should, because right now, all of the taxes that we pay combined, why even work? Just let the government take care of you. Why don't you just borrow the way Goebbels did and all those guys did back in freaking Germany?
We'll get to that. You're sniffing up.
I know.
I know.
I'm getting hot.
Glad you said that.
I'm really getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated because we fall for this stuff hook, line, and sinker.
Exactly.
And you know what? Again, we say this all the time. The conservatives will talk about it, but dude, it's time to start acting. It's time to start saying no. You know what I mean? I don't care. Like, if the left can riot, I'm not saying to riot. I'm saying to protest.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
This
Now's
is
the
time
movement
to be upset.
Dude, you can unite libertarians, constitutionalists, and Republicans now.
Yeah.
If we can stop this mess and say, no, this is straight up socialism, and that doesn't belong in a republic.
So the American Jobs Plan specifically will have a global minimum tax of 21%. Right now, the global minimum tax that all countries are supposed to abide by is set at about 10.5%. So this is going to encourage doubling it. All the governments getting together and saying, well, we're going to make sure all of us tax at least this point. And then Biden, if he gets his way, basically what this plan would do is it's going to force that tax on all of its corporations no matter what. So American businesses, no matter where they're doing it, government's going to get the difference. So if they're doing business in a country that's lower than that global minimum tax,
hey guys, do me a favor.
We'll tax you the difference, right?
Yeah, guys, do me a favor. Comment where you're from. Please share this video. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. They're going to be very important. We're going to be kicking butt, especially our guest.
All right, American Families Plan. So this is why I was encouraging Massey for what he said. So this is producing in you a reliance on the government to provide for you. This is socialism. Hence why I wore the shirt today, guys. American Family Plan directly to the American people. Plan calls for free preschool for 3 to 4-year-olds, $200 billion investment in early education. The White House says that the Families Plan would offer universal free 2 years of community college and up to 12 weeks of paid family leave. Gets better. All employees participating in a pre-K program would earn at least $15 an hour. The plan would also include investments to support teachers who want to earn another degree or seek another credential, increasing the maximum Pell Grant to $1,400, $62 billion grant program to invest in completion and retention activities at schools, $39 billion program that provides 2 years of subsidized tuition for students from families earning less than $125,000 enrolled in a 4-year historically black college. 4 more years of, and this is where they get you. If all that other stuff hasn't gotten you, this is where they get you. 4 more years of expanded direct payments to parents.
And dude, that is where they get the voter.
We're going to send you a check because you have a kid.
Yep, now you voted for me. What did Benjamin Franklin say? When the people find they can vote themselves money, that'll herald the end of the republic. When people find they can vote themselves money, that'll herald the end of the republic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that's what they want? That's exactly what they want. Guys, it is not their money. Democrats, listen to me. They're taking it from you. They're taking it from you. They're taking money off your table that you could be sending your kids to college with and giving it to other people. You know why you can't afford it? Because of this crap. Because of what's going on right now. Because of inflation on prices. Because they keep skyrocketing the dollar. They keep printing more. And it devalues the dollar. Guys, you can't tell me that this can exist. This can't keep up much longer. It can't. It can't. That's why people are investing in cryptocurrencies and other types of currencies right now. Because they're afraid of the dollar. Yeah. China's loving this right now. They're freaking loving this right now.
We are spending ourselves into oblivion. So this direct payment, it's an overhaul of the child tax credit. This has been in place for decades, but the new legislation, it transforms the credit into a monthly direct payment for families worth up to $300 a month for children under 6 and $250 for those aged between 6 and 17. So I want you to put yourself in the mind of the average voter. They hear you're going to get $300 a month for every kid you got, or $250 a month for every kid you got. Let's say you have 3 kids, all under the age of 6. You now get $900 a month from the government. It's UBI. This is universal basic income. And they've hidden it because what they'll do is they'll put it in and they'll drop the seed under the child part of it. And so all of a sudden you get used to getting $900 a month. And when the government says, well, we're just going to expand that a little bit. This is why we were so against the stimulus checks. Because the stimulus checks, you notice they came out about once a month. They're getting you used to taking money from them day in, day out. They want to support you cradle to grave, because when you are like that, you are compliant. When you are compliant, you will submit. When you submit, they can do whatever they want. And you can tell me there's no grand scheme in this. There might not even be in their minds. They may just be buying votes and thinking, well, we want to help people, so we're going to give them more money. They're taking your money from you and buying you off with a fraction of it. This has got to stop. We have got to stop deciding that we are going to just take the dollars from the government and do whatever you want because at least you're helping me out. You shut my business. You close my family in. You close my schools. And then you send me $1,400 and expect me to kiss your butt. This has got to stop. And I'm not just speaking to the conservatives. I'm speaking to everyone because this can't continue. They will come out with more and more checks to give you.
Exactly. 100%. And again, this is why we're talking about it. This whole thing is, G.K. Chesterton once said, when you remove God, then man then becomes God. So then man starts to begin to worship the highest thing that it knows, which becomes government because it has authority. See what happens? You remove the Lord, all of a sudden now man becomes the populace and we start to worship government. That is paganism. It's idolatry. And we've fallen into this trap that government can somehow provide for us when it's the Lord that does. If you think that the little piddly $400 a month for your kids while they keep inflating the prices, it's not going to last you. $15 an hour is nothing nowadays.
Yeah.
Give it to me in 1999. $15 an hour was awesome, dude. I remember when I got paid $12 an hour, I was like, dude, I am going to the bank. Now $15 an hour is squat. You can't just take this for example. Rent down here has skyrocketed because people are moving to Florida in droves, right? Your $15 an hour could probably pay for the bills, but not your mortgage, not your rent. And dude, people eat this stuff up.
Yeah, they get excited about it. This plan, they have to build a whole new national distribution system for the CTC, the child tax credit. And it's also going to be fully refundable on a permanent basis, meaning that even households that pay little or no taxes will still be able to get the full money. They're buying you. They're buying you. Also, the day of the speech, notice this. Notice where people's heads are at now. The day of the speech saw an increase of around 250% for Google searches, including the phrase Biden fourth stimulus check. People want it.
Wow.
People are looking for it. They're like, hey, am I going to get my 4th stimulus
Now,
check?
what are
Where's
they
my
comparing
stimulus
it to?
check?
It's a bunch of liberals that probably searched it. So what are they comparing those numbers to, right?
But the number of Google searches before the speech, and then the number of Google searches during.
I
the
get what you're
speech,
saying. I get what you're saying. I also too. Did you know? I don't know if you mentioned this because I was looking up a couple quotes. But did you mention that on every single channel on YouTube there was more dislikes than likes?
No,
They were
no, I
all
didn't.
over the place. ABC, CBS, all these guys.
Really?
There was more dislikes than likes, and there was more viewers for Trump's speeches than Biden. There's something going on. You can't tell me 80 million votes got this dude in. There's no way. There is no stinking way. I don't care what you tell me. Look, I talked to a couple of guys in Michigan. They claim voter fraud did not exist in that state. Trump lost that state. He told me. And this guy is like legit one of the best conservatives I know. He said, we did all the homework. We did all the research. We filed the lawsuits. There was nothing that they could have pinned it on. Trump lost 2 key counties because they didn't like him. They were rich Republicans who didn't like him. So he lost the state, right? But the other states, come on, Georgia, Arizona, all these, there's something that happened. You know what I mean? So there's more that happened out there that we don't even know. But 80 million votes, I'm sorry, dude. It just doesn't play right to me when I'm looking at what's going on.
Especially for a guy who could not scrape together 12 cars for a drive-in rally.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I cannot fathom.
People
that
say
this man was the most popular candidate in all
history.
of history.
Now, he can't put a coherent sentence together. Have you heard her speak? She's not any better.
She just starts cackling.
No, but it's not even
randomly.
that. She can't put a thought. I'm not capping on her. I'm really not. I'm not making fun of her. Just what she says makes no sense.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like she
Yeah, anyway.
It's
not I'm not making fun of it. It's just, how did these people get elected? What did they get elected on? Purely to hate Trump. That's exactly why.
So one thing that Biden had said in his speech, he said it was time for the mega rich to start paying their fair share. I am so tired of hearing this statement. What is fair? Tell me. I want to know a percentage. What do you think is fair? And then I want you to ask the next guy, what's fair? Because the problem is fair is such a subjective term, and politicians throw it out time after time after time after time. They need to pay their fair share. How much is fair?
Yeah, who determines that?
Who determines this? Because what it builds is it builds class warfare. So I'm going to go through a couple of things.
Let's do it quick.
Let's go through this quick. Cradle to grave support, massive increase of taxation of private businesses, as well as basically a nationalization act or movement towards it, beginnings of UBI, creating more class warfare against the mega rich, child development and raising placed more in the hands of the government. This smells like socialism, doesn't it? Mr. German 1940s evil bad dude, he'd be proud. Just put an American flag on it, a couple of guys in brown shirts in front of Biden. You have pretty much the same movement. Now, there's a nationalism difference there, right? This was the Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Party. So there's not that nationalist movement in this, but there's an international movement.
But now let's step on some toes of the Americans and the conservatives, okay? I'm not trying to, but just hear me out. America first.
Nationalist movement.
Nationalism. Right? This kind of stuff happens when we're divided amongst our states. The states have more sovereign power than the federal government does. We have rights that are given to the states. Like, America's a piece of land. Freedom is born in the heart of man. We have to be careful what we're submitting to. We got to be careful to the doctrine we're listening to. We got to be careful on what's happening out there. Dude, the bottom line is, you as a citizen, dude, gosh, let me say this to you. I was learning some things this weekend. I'm still going to do my homework, but I'm going to throw some darts so we can study this more. Sheriffs are constitutional. Do you know why? Because you can vote them in and out. You can't do that to cops. They're hired. Are they constitutional? Police chiefs aren't constitutional. They're hired. So who's their accountability? They're hired hands. But sheriffs, we get to vote them in and out. That's constitutional. So why not defund the police and put it in the sheriffs again? So we have more sheriffs so we can vote them in and out. So we have accountability to those sheriffs. See what I'm saying?
I like that.
Dude, there's stuff that I'm learning all the time about liberty. And it scares me how much I bought into America First ideology. It's not anything to do with just America. America became great because its laws and its constitution was great. because God is great, because America was a bastion of liberty. Has nothing to do with the land itself. It's not red, white, and blue. It has nothing to do with presidents. It has everything to do with freedom and liberty. And we gotta quit talking about red, white, and blue and start talking about liberty.
That's what shapes the patriotism of America, is the fundamental beliefs that we all hold and the values that we all hold. And the problem is we're having a splitting of those values and those beliefs. So he's right. It's not about just red, white, and blue. It's the flag. So that's who I'm going to stand behind, because that's my flag. No, you stand behind the values and the beliefs that this country represents. And the problem is we're losing that.
Yep.
We're losing that.
Because those same Democrats are still flying that American flag.
Some.
They might burn it, they might whatever, but it's still behind Biden, still behind Kamala. They're still doing it, or Kamala. Sorry, I'm not disrespecting her. I just don't know her name. So like that well, it comes off my tongue that way. So what I'm saying is this land, God made this land great. Our law system made it great. It's not America itself. It's the Lord. So why not God first?
Yeah.
Right? Even our shirts, make America constitutional again. You know what? Make America godly again. We got to start thinking that way too. You know what I mean? It's not just the Constitution. It's what brought these laws. And guys, if you think about Romans 8, right? Let's go with Romans 8 for a minute. I was just talking about this earlier so we can get to Gloria, but Romans 8 says this: the law of the Spirit of life has set me free from the law of sin and death. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set me free from the law of sin and death. Law is meant to keep you free. Law is not meant to bound you up. And GK, again, I was looking at GK Chesterton this morning. I had a bunch of quotes and he was going through my head. He said, when you disobey, when you break big laws, it doesn't create anarchy. It doesn't create division. It creates smaller laws. Think about it. You get enslaved more when you break the bigger ones. You break God's 10, guess what happens? Now we need this kind of law, this kind of law, this kind of law. You can't look at him. You can't do that. And if you're a murderer, you can still kind of get off. You know what I mean? Guys, they have lawyers now that can get you off of speeding tickets. They can get you off of murder. This is insanity that we're defending murderers. Is it any wonder this is what we're falling into? The more you think about law, it's supposed to free me and restrain outside government. That's the job of law, especially in our country.
And the attitude that has really come forth lately is the criminal is the victim.
Totally.
We have this belief that seems to be running through right now that you have to protect the criminal. Think about these riots. These people riot, they destroy property, and then they get bailed out.
Totally, dude.
And never get charged. 100%. But the man who defends his bar or defends his storefront could be charged for murder if he happens to shoot one of the people that he feels his life's threatened by. We've decided to protect the criminal, and we're going after the victims. And when you try to protect criminality, your country will fail. It will fall apart. And we're noticing it from the bottom to the top. Criminality, evil, wickedness is just, it's got its fingertips in everything, right?
Yeah, guys, continue to share this. Comment where you're from. If you have any questions about what we're talking about, please write them down. Thank you, Georgia, for tuning in. She's got a bunch of stuff.
Heck yeah.
Andrew was saying 17% surplus on steel. Our wood, the lumber's astronaut. I wanted to put a fence in my backyard. I can't do that now.
Oh, let me
I got to sell one of the kids.
Let me tell you about prices.
I was close. Lumber. I'm kidding. Now, we've got someone special to introduce because this series is all about Be the Majority. And again, last week we had Julie McCarty. If you guys have not checked them out, TrueTexasProject.com. But what?
Soap.
What? Soap. Oh, sorry. We got to do the soap. So, guys, we were out in Ohio 2-3 weeks ago. And we met this lovely couple who prayed over our families, who was just
amazing,
awesome people, our age, really young, 40. And so they were wonderful people, and we stayed talking to them. But they gave us these soaps, and Mike will explain more, but they were awesome soaps, and want you guys to check them out.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and throw it up on the screen. I want you to see this.
Their testimony is incredible, too.
So just leave that on the screen for a second. This is Space Cadet soaps. And you guys don't do sponsors. You don't do advertisement. Look,
well, they paid for it.
I was just gonna say they haven't paid us a dime. Obviously, they're paying Massey, not me.
With their soap, they gave it to me.
They gave us some soap. They're amazing, wonderful people out in Ohio, and we want you to check out this website.
They're amazing.
SpaceCadetSoaps.com. This stuff is completely natural, completely simplified, organic. awesome stuff. I've been using it. I love it. I was actually using the Dr. Squatch stuff before, and I'm using this stuff now. It's like,
So
I'm sticking with it.
too, his name is Smiles. Her name is Space. Legit. That's what their name is. And they were actually kind of free-going hippies before they got saved. You should hear their testimony. It's incredible how God saved their soul when they were on drugs, and God totally delivered them. So they've got this unique way of sharing their story, and their kids are godly. They're actually going to school to be ministers. Just incredible people. So please support these guys. I mean, they're amazing people.
And we'll post up the link for you again, but spacecadetsoaps.com. Go buy a bar. Let us know how you feel. I'm using it. I love it.
And let them know that we sent you.
Yeah, seriously. Let them know Self-Evident Ministries sent them or sent you to them.
They didn't pay us anything for this. They just gave us
not.
a couple bar of soaps, and my wife loves it and stuff like that. So here we are.
So that being said, thank you, Massey. Now let's introduce our guest.
We got 4'11" of dynamite. This woman's incredible. Just a lot what she's doing for the schools in her local community. What even when the mask mandates went down, she was one of the bulwarks of saying, no, we're not going to comply to this. Kept her business mostly open through the whole thing, correct? She was seeing, and just how that was civil disobedience. That is proper in the context of what she was doing. And so people are like, she was rebellious. No, she's not. She was civilly disobedient, and she was doing it righteously. So guys, I want you guys to welcome Miss Gloria Tucker.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, she's a little nervous right now, but it's good because we got a lot of questions from Miss Gloria. And guys, so again, the whole be the majority series is to get you involved. So we had Julie McCarty last week. Like I said, we were talking about the community. Mm-hmm. She was starting groups. Now there's like 8. They're going to have 15 by the end of the year, groups that are meeting pop-ups all over the state of Texas. What can you do for our schools? What can someone do? Now, we're going to be homeschooling next year our kids because they were going to a school that does homeschool curriculums. But now we're going to fully homeschool our kids because we feel, they got to go with me, when we travel. I love having my boys with me. There's something about empowering my sons to watch their daddy fight for a nation or fight for things. And so we brought Gloria in because she's doing something for our schools. And Georgia Thomas said, go, my friend. Don't get nervous. No, come on, girl.
I'm good.
So, Gloria, we got a ton of questions. Why don't you start off?
So first, the first thing I want to ask you is what motivated you to decide I have to get involved?
Okay.
I've got to do something.
Okay. So 11 months ago, in my local county, the superintendent decided to make a choice for the parents of they decided to give us 2 choices. Okay. But the superintendent said that he would make the choice for us, meaning it was
here's your choice, but no choice.
No choice, right? So what happened was he did this mass Zoom meeting with all,
of course he did,
all the parents, what the new school year would look like, and we were watching intently, me and a couple of moms, and we listened, and we're like, "Did you hear what he just said?" He said, "We're going to do either distance learning or on campus." In the classroom. But then at the end he says, I'm going to decide. And we're like, okay, whether it be distance learning or in the classroom. Yeah. So it wasn't both choices. It was just his choice.
He'll choose. He'll choose. This is what I'm going to choose.
This is what I'm going to choose for, the entire county.
So awesome.
So that got us a little hot on the collar, so to speak. There was some,
I picture these moms going, freedom!
Yes, that's what we're saying.
War paint.
Yeah, but there was some foul language going on. It was
Come on, girl.
It was bad.
How many cuss words did you throw out? That's the question.
Just a couple. But
Dale,
anyway.
Let's be honest, Dale. Her husband's waiting outside. How many words?
Right. So what happened was we got together and we started talking. I says, we should start a Facebook page to share and vent, because we didn't like what we heard. So we started a Facebook page, and basically the page says, "Our children, our choice." And the message was that
I love that.
I love
that.
Is that the official name of it?
No, it includes the county opening up the schools. And our children, our choice, basically.
Amen.
Cool.
Whether it didn't matter if the parents or the guardians wanted in-school learning or distance learning. Like if you want to go take, if you wanted your child to go to school, that's fine. And if you wanted your kid to be home distance learning, that was fine too. But we did not want the superintendent to make that choice. I think he was overstepping and being
Yeah.
tyrannical, maybe.
Yeah,
Just a
no,
little
say
bit.
it.
No,
I don't think he was
Maybe.
overstepping. He was overstepping.
Overstepping,
Yeah.
like the way I looked at it, okay, there's 7 board members, and I just think there's more of us than them.
And this is why
And we should have a voice, right? Because we
Yeah.
vote them in,
And you pay for it.
and we
You
have
know?
tax, right?
Yes. I mean, that's, yes.
Right. So so we got together, and the mission, the message was, it was very simple. In the first probably 2 weeks of the Facebook that went live, we had 600 members in 2 weeks. So then the media was calling, and then it got even bigger after that. So the media, we had gotten interviewed for local media, and once that happened, and I think the second week it was up to 1,200.
Wow.
And then it just
Dang.
grew.
People PO'd.
Yeah. And now it's almost to 2,000, and
Whoa.
it's still growing. The people are still, signing on.
Are you
So,
are you finding that most of the attention you're getting is positive for doing this, or is the group getting a lot of blowback for doing this?
well, then you have the people that troll it.
The
and,
trolls and that
yeah,
kind of thing.
and the teachers, those teachers like to sneak in there and
Yeah.
give their
Teachers
opinion,
unions.
and
Yeah, blow it up.
yeah,
It's frustrating.
yeah.
Don't
So-
let them.
So
No.
I understand you wanted it for your choice and kids' choices and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But I remember when I first met you, I don't know if you were very active in politics or schools or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
But I know that all of a sudden one day I look at you and you're like, she came to church and you were like, I got to do something. You started
Yeah.
crying. And it was like, oh my gosh, she's like taking this serious. What was that moment that really like flipped it for you where it was like,
Okay.
okay, I'm done with this
Yeah.
stuff. I got to do something. And you can cry. It's okay.
Yeah,
I do it all the time.
It was my daughter. First of all, I have a 12-year-old that was going into middle school, and she got accepted to this program. There's choice programs in public schools that I am, a cheerleader for, but there's not enough. There's not enough of that, and I had to break the news to her that I didn't want her to return because I didn't believe how the school year was going to look. So we pushed back so hard that we got even the DOE involved, all the emailing, all the phone calling. I have a friend at the DOE. I think her name is Yvonne. I called her every single day for 2 weeks. I did. And she knew me. She says, "Oh, hi, Miss Tucker. How you doing?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we're still not happy." We're still not
They
happy.
work for you.
Yes, even the DOE,
Yeah.
I mean, in our property taxes, we pay a local and state tax to schools, and that's majority. It's half of your property taxes. I mean, that's a lot,
Yeah.
And
the what gets me about the property tax is whether or not you have kids in the school system,
Right.
your taxes go to the school system.
Right.
So if you're paying money into it, you should have a say in how it runs. right?
Exactly.
And so I had kind of compiled a list of what a school board member actually does.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you pointed out was, well, wait a second, the superintendent works for the school board. They can hire or fire this guy, right? They can determine the budgets. They can create the calendars. They can decide openings and closings, evaluate the data, approve textbooks and curriculum, set discipline policies, add or cut school programs.
Mhm.
The school board is supposed to be in charge of all this. So having a superintendent come out and say, I'm going to decide what this, no. You're supposed to have a school board meeting open to the public. Public's supposed to voice their say, and then the school board is supposed to determine what's going to happen with this.
Right.
Yeah. And so what aspect of being a part of the school board do you think draws you to it the most?
All right. Well, they don't listen. So
So
I
it's
think
time
the
to finally listen.
I think listening it would be huge. Like the 3 points I would do, in my campaign when I run is just 3 things. And they sound simple, but they carry a lot of weight. Transparency is one.
Yep.
And under that, there's so much. Number 2 is curriculum, and number 3, the budget. If I told you in my county what the school budget, and this is just the school budget for the district is, it'll
Yeah.
blow your mind.
Yeah.
It'd blow your mind. And you wonder, where is this money going?
That's right.
It's
Right.
like, I'd like
So-
to know.
No, that's right. Like, when has anyone ever audited these schools? Like the tax money, where it's going, all those things. Because I just got a text from my friend. He was playing devil's advocate. It was JD from Ohio. One of the smartest guys I know. Stuff he has me read. I'm like, I'm like on the low level. Give me the low level books. Like give me the ones with pictures. You know what I mean? This guy's reading stuff that's like insane. But he said, doesn't it cost more to give choice? Like you have to train people to do online training for the kids and all these other things. And I was like, well, maybe, but when the money's being used inefficiently anyways, who's really auditing these people to make this money go efficiently? And why couldn't they video these classrooms and things like that, so where they don't have to do that, where the parents can be the ones teaching at home with the kids? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So do you have anything to that? Like, would it cost more to have in school? Like if you had the double choice, like either go in person or go online?
Well, that was difficult. I mean, this past school year, the teachers did not like it. I have to say,
Going
they did.
online.
Yeah, what happened was they try to get the parents involved in my county, and what they did is they gave us a survey. They sent out a survey, so I'm like, and I read the survey and I filled it out, and the survey said what it was either in school, in the classroom, or distance learning, and it was split down the middle. I'm like, okay, it was
So now what?
50-50. Yeah, so now what? So that's what they did. This following school year, they sent out another survey to the parents and the teachers union came back and said 93% of them wanted no distance learning. The teachers said that. So that speaks volumes to the school board, obviously, because they're supposed to be, in cahoots, whatever. So that speaks volume that the teachers, we're not doing this anymore. So they're taking that away come the new school year.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to be back in the classrooms.
Yeah. Which and I know other school systems, the teachers unions have pretty much said, well, we need this and this and this and this and this and this and this before we'll go back.
And I'm not
Right.
I'm not capping on the teachers themselves, but these unions, it's just kind of got this hierarchy. You can't fire me. It's kind of a law, like in the tenure stuff. And it's like, are we really hiring teachers for the best interest of the students in these unions? Or are we really watching out for the kids? You know what I mean? Someone just asked, what do you mean my campaign? She asked, what is my...
I'll be running for school board in
You heard it here, folks! You heard it here, baby! Woo! We got to support Miss Gloria.
So
yes,
your campaign, how, and this is getting into the action portion of this, and we'll get more into the school board stuff in a second, but I'd like you to kind of describe, okay, you say something has to change. I need to be involved. Okay, what's your next step? I want you to basically teach people, like, how do you make that step? Because a lot of people look at running for an office as like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections, the time. So I'm just going to step back and let somebody else do it. So like kind of walk through the basic steps of how does somebody start to get involved in that process?
Well, you ask yourself that question, and if not me, then who? If not when, why now? If not, how does that go? If not me,
if not you, then who? If not now, then when?
Then when? Right. So, for me, it was a heart thing. And again, I'm going to go back to my daughter. I actually removed her from the school, the public school system.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart, broke her heart. So I homeschool. Okay. And again, it was my beliefs and what it looked like the school year, what they were going to do to the kids, because it was tyrannical. It was just complying with, I just didn't approve of it, put it that way, because of my belief system. So it hit me hard in my heart, and I did get emotional over it, and I asked the Lord, is this what you want me to do? If it is, then you'll have to open some doors. With this group that I started, it did. And then I started another Facebook page. I have another one also. And the support comes from the parents, I would say, local support, and other coalitions that believe the same thing I believe in.
Good.
Like-minded people that I teamed up with.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that I teamed up with.
So kind of your first step really was gathering with the other people that really saw this as an issue and saying, hey, I'm going to do something here.
Right.
I'm going to run.
Right.
And starting to coalesce that support, and then finding some organizations
Yeah, totally.
Right.
that stand with you as
Yep.
well, and
Right.
saying, look, I'm going to run
But then
for
again,
this.
also the education and the curriculum, what you guys were talking about, the segment before, was just getting me hot and fired up. I was like, no,
And that's kind of the
no.
Gloria I wanted to show up right now.
Yeah, no.
Get
Well,
that fired up. She gets fired up.
Yeah. Well,
If you ever meet this woman, she's 4'11", and she will
ball of fire.
Man.
But the education it's important. I mean, and especially with socialism and everything, that they want the kids. They want to brainwash the kids.
Absolutely.
And the curriculum is really important. Like me homeschooling my daughter versus the curriculum in public school, night and day.
Unbelievable.
Completely different.
Night and day. And it's a Christian based, curriculum. And it's so much easier. It's so simple, just like Jesus. It's so simple. They like the public schools make it so difficult,
Yeah.
and so complicated, and it makes it where the parents they can't get involved.
That's right. Hey, I want you to comment on a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Keller from Michigan, she's a dear friend. Her husband, I was just up there at their event. She said one of the problems with school money from the government is that it's earmarked for specific programs. The state, for example, may give us $100,000 for program A, and it can only be spent on program A. We have heard repeatedly, use it or lose it. What say you to that? Do we want to get rid of that? Because this is insane.
At the federal level?
Yeah, well, federal and state. We're getting money everywhere.
Well, I started a petition too. So I protest, I petition, I call, I email. I bug them.
Good.
You bug them. You have to bug them. You have to. I mean, like I said, I made a friend at the DOE, Department of Education, and locally here, and it's like she was my friend. We understand. It's funny how you may talk to the lay people and not get to the head honcho, and their hearts hurt just as much, because I shared our story to this one person, and she says, "Yeah, my daughter is a teacher, and she's going through this." So listen, kudos to teachers. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Kudos to teachers.
For real.
I mean, I do respect them.
It takes a special person.
Yes,
it
is,
does, man.
And there is good teachers out there. There is good teachers, and I know good teachers. But with this union hovering over them, they're so afraid to speak out.
Yeah, job
because
loss.
They're afraid.
Question from Gary. Maybe you can help answer this too. And I'll answer with you. When did the teachers union and the parents become adversaries? Socialism? ?
Yeah, socialism.
Oh.
Yeah,
I mean it. And
when did it happen? Like when was this stuff progressively happening? We talked about this before.
Yeah, especially because it was around the 50s and 60s that and this is going to sound cliche, but the Marxist agenda, the communist agenda that was actually coming over from the Soviet Union, right? Soviet Union was actually sending marching orders to the communist parties that had started up in America. And one of their codes of conduct, if you want to call it, their agenda items, is to infiltrate organizations, and especially unions, because unions are collectives.
Yep.
And so what happened during especially the 50s and 60s is the thing about being a communist is you have this religious zeal to do whatever's necessary. You have these academics who will go work in a factory for 20 years because they're communists and they need to start a union in the
100%.
factory. And so what they'll do is they'll infiltrate their people into these unions, especially the teachers unions during the 50s, 60s. And they started turning things and shifting things under the radar to become really communist driven movements. Now, is every single teacher in a teachers union communist? Not by any means, but what comes out, especially of the leaders' mouths, are communist talking points, are collectivist movements towards communist ideals. And I want somebody to answer me, who is the person that is going against the union? And what I mean by that is, so in a private business, and this is just kind of a teaching moment, in a private business, at least you have management that is going up against the union. So they try to balance each other out, right? Union fights for this, management fights back. They both kind of have their edge that they play, and they try to level each other. There is no adversary to the public union. The only adversary that's there is the government, which the union endorses and campaigns for and gives dollars to the people in the government. So they end up putting their guy in place, and then they're negotiating with their guy. And so what happens is the public unions end up they win. They win. And when they try to fight, you saw this in Chicago, what do you get? You get strikes where your schools are empty for a year, right? There's no adversarial maneuver there. And the teachers unions really start to set their faces against the individual ideology, like individualism of America, around that same time that the communist fingers were getting in there. So now it's no longer the teachers and the parents and the students are all kind of working for the same goal. It's the union saying, everybody get in line with us or we're going to try and squash you. And so that's the short answer of that. But yeah,
The short answer. Okay. Okay.
yeah. So any other comments, questions?
There's tons. Let's see. Ding, ding, ding. That's it. Hence our government. The curricula is definitely a problem, but here's how it works. My recent experience was the English department was presented with materials from 3 companies. It's garbage curriculum 1, 2, and 3. The number of curriculum packages available is limited, but we were told had to choose one. We can't have no curriculum and no resources, but there are also no good choices. So there's a lot of this stuff kind of going on,
Right.
that obviously there's more problems than just
Yeah.
what's presented with money. I mean, there's
Mhm.
obviously they've infiltrated so far as we're going to teach you what we want to teach you.
Yeah.
Done, plain and simple. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, Gloria. It's there's so much here. Yeah, so he's right. JD just said, I've only been able to listen in and out, but the teacher education is the problem. How we teach our teachers, much
Yeah.
like doctors, they're just taught. Just
Yeah.
give a vaccine. Don't question it. Don't nothing.
Mhm.
Just prescribe young kids with pills. Don't
Mhm.
question it. Don't nothing. If they're hyper, you just got to pop a pill in
Yeah.
them. You
And
know what I
the-
mean?
The funny
Yeah.
thing is, a lot of teacher education at this point is now classroom management and classroom procedures, and how to give information that's given to you. There doesn't, when I was in college, there was not a whole lot of how do you critically think about the information that's given to you so that your students can critically think. They pay lip service to the idea of critical thinking. Yeah, and I know I'm going on a bit of a soapbox, but
Mhm.
the teacher education at this point is the teacher really has to kind of teach themselves the material when they get into the classroom, but the material that's handed to them is chosen by
Right. Can I
Yeah,
talk?
go for
Can
it.
I speak to that? Okay. So the teachers, I would say, I have a son that went through the public system and college and everything. So the curriculum they give them, they can't be creative. That's
No.
the problem. And the curriculum locally, I could say in my local county, history is taught maybe 25 minutes out of the whole day. And American history, I'm talking about they give
Yeah.
him history. I remember my son in middle school, he was on China for 6 weeks. I'm like, where's American history? Like, I question it. I question the teacher. So, well, this is the curriculum. You have to go by really? You got to go by the curriculum. Like,
And that's
which is okay. Maybe you could spend a week on China, maybe the other 5 weeks on American history, because
Yeah.
that's where we live in America, right?
and
So-
that's part of the problem is especially with the pressure of the teachers unions and the school boards and the superintendents, is when a teacher tries to step out.
Mhm.
I have family members teachers that have gotten squashed because the system does not want them to teach the way that they know is best for their
Right.
kids. And these curriculums that especially are coming out, these curriculums, a lot of them are twisted. The critical race theory is making its way into a lot of these curriculums.
Don't get me
and it's
started
twisted.
with that. Don't get me started with that.
No, but see, again, so Gloria, what can we tell these people out there how to get involved if their passion is their kids in the schools? Like I said, we had Julie talk about how to start something in community, something small, Facebook
Yes.
stuff, and then all these other things. But what could the average person do?
Well, Facebook pages are great, but you have to go to school board meetings. You have to attend those. You have to email them. You have to call them.
So
You could
it's more than
protest.
just a weekend warrior.
Yeah, no,
like you're,
you have to push back. I mean, you have to have a voice. The parents, they just have to get involved.
Yeah.
It's not even, okay, it's my daughter, but the next generation.
Come on.
I'm looking at the next generation.
That's Thomas Paine.
Yeah.
Thomas Paine said it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the next generation, and even a biblical sense, we want to still spread the gospel once we're gone. We want to leave it for our children
Amen.
to spread the gospel too. It's the same thing with education. These curriculums, going back to they're called bids. We were talking about who mentioned that, the English.
Yeah.
Okay, so we question in my county. There's another candidate running in a different district. So I'm in a county with 7. So there's 7 seats, but they're not all up right now. There's 4 up. So if you get a hold of 4 out of 7, that's pretty. That's
time to start
majority.
running.
Isn't that the
It's time
majority?
to swing it.
Yeah,
This
trying to
is the
do it
year,
right. So you get like-minded parents, grassroots, parents that think with their hearts and not, So anyway, going back to the curriculum, they ask parents, they're called focus groups, and they ask parents where there's a bid coming up this year and it's on math. And you can actually reach out to the school board and say, I'd like to be on the focus group. I'd like to see what you have up for bid, what publishers. And there's like 3. And they bring in the parents and they look at this math with other teachers and other people or whatever. And I'm like, I'm going.
Good for you.
Sign me up. So they have my name and my number, and when they're ready, they'll give me a call, and I'll get in there and check it out. Yeah, why not? Right? Why not?
And I love that, because what you're giving is you're giving those easy to do steps.
Yeah.
Of, look, go to a school board meeting
Yes.
once in a while.
Email
sign
them.
up.
Yeah,
for these
make your
focus
voice heard
groups.
when
Yeah.
you're there too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Yep.
and you can sign up for these focus groups. You can do something and
Mhm.
move forward.
Yep.
And the more active you get, the more likely you are
Right.
Totally.
to decide, I need to do something to change this.
Yep.
And what's going on.
I mean, you remember we did that school board meeting here about 2 months ago, and like 35 pastors showed up,
Mhm.
and it changed
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
The school board thought, man, these guys, they mean business.
Mhm.
Not only us, but hundreds of parents came out. Hundreds of parents came out, speaking in the opposition of what they were trying to push. You can do something. You know what I mean? We can all do something. We can all get involved. Again, her calling was, I got to go help the kids. It's right there where they're getting nailed, right? Where we go to colleges and stuff and high schools and do these youth events and things, because that is the next generation, right? And it's like Carrie and I were talking probably a month ago about, we got to do a children's curriculum, a real children's curriculum, because these little kids, they're just so like Tuttle Twins. I mean, why reinvent the wheel, right? Just buy their stuff and give it to kids. But like, seriously, they're amazing. Tuttle Twins is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like all these things, and you can do something. And she's just coming on to show you, look, I'm just one person, but look what one person can affect. And that's exactly why we had her on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to close it out, not give us your best campaign speech,
No.
but you kind of gave your 3 focal
Mhm.
points, right? What's something that you do want to say to those who are listening, especially people who are like, I don't know, what can I really make a difference, right?
Well, what's in your heart? Like, you have to look at your children and the next generation. I just don't see how you cannot not get involved. It just hit me where it hurts, I guess. I was passionate about it. Parents need to get involved with their children's education. If you don't, they may turn on you. You know what I mean? They may turn on you, and you don't even know it happened. Just get involved. I don't know what more to say. Just look at it. That it may, you won't recognize this country, really, because of the curriculum. I feel like what they're teaching our kids is something that, if you believe it, if you don't believe it, but most of the parents that I gathered and wanted to share their thoughts and vent about things, they're all on board.
Yeah.
They're, you find your like-minded people, and you support each other and encourage each other. and you just start locally, at a local level, and find those parents.
And I think something you said really resonated. The
Mhm.
fact that it if you don't do something,
Yeah.
somebody else
Else
is
is
in
gonna
charge of your
right,
kids.
exactly.
We had a news bit that I want to read this quote from the news bit, because I think this just it really encapsulates what you're going to put up with if you're not getting involved.
Mhm.
And so it was about Idaho, and Idaho just passed a law that bans critical race theory. I was reading an NPR article about it, and in this news report, a girl named Shiva Rajabahandari, Asian American high school sophomore in Boise, called the bill government censorship. This is what she said, per quote: Idaho is nearly 90% white. Members of the legislature hate people who look like me so much that they will do anything within their power to hide the history of oppression that people of color have experienced. Tell me she hasn't been taught that.
Truth.
She's been taught that. That's something that somebody has taught her day in and day out. And if you guys don't understand why it's important to be involved, this is why. Because somebody has been teaching her that. This did not come just naturally. She was taught that everybody hates her and everybody's trying to oppress
Yep.
her. And your kids will be taught that, or they'll be taught that they are the oppressor, that they are evil and wicked and have original sin that cannot be reconciled with because they have a certain skin color. And any last words, thoughts, anything you want to?
I'm just encouraging the parents out there to get involved. It's at a local level. It doesn't matter how big your town or county, or in different states it's different. But look at your kids' curriculum. Reach out to the teachers and ask them. What they how they're teaching their child. Communication is real good. What we did, like I said, I can only tell you what we did locally, and we just put pressure on them, because we didn't like what we saw, because we love our kids, right? And we want the best for our kids, and they are our choice. Nobody else can tell us what to do with our own children,
Come on.
right?
And it's
It's
your school
and,
system.
and God gave them to us, right? They're a blessing, and God gave it to us, and it's our job to raise them. It's our job to raise them, in a for me, in a godly way,
Yeah.
a biblical way.
And I think people don't have it figured out that it's their school system. It's your
Mhm.
school system.
Mhm.
It's not the American government's, and you have
Nope.
no say. It's your school system teaching your kids. You are giving your kids to be taught by that school system. You can determine how it's run.
Exactly.
And you're going to.
And there's
right?
more of us.
Yeah.
There's more of us than the school board.
Move.
That no, right? That was the
Do it.
biggest that was the biggest thing. Even a teacher told me that. She says, just remember, and this hit me really hard. She goes, there's 7 of them and there's more of you.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what?
Thousands.
You're right. Yeah, you're
Amen.
right.
So that being said, Gloria, thank you so much for being
Thank you for
on.
having me. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
She
I
kicked
love
butt,
it.
didn't she?
I love you guys.
Didn't she?
This is great. It was fun.
Just wanted you to know she just announced her candidacy on the podcast, so we have to support that. We have to totally support that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So be sure to check her out, and we'll keep you guys up to date on when she runs and everything like that. Meaning, keep in tune with us, guys, because we're going to keep this series going. We've got a couple more things planned for you. Also, do not forget to check out Space Cadet Soaps. Great soap. We wanted to give them a shout out. We love those guys. They're really doing the Lord's work. They are so on fire for God, and that's a beautiful thing. So support them.
Yep.
They don't give us a dime, but we love them. We love what they're doing. They got hearts of gold. And do not forget to check us out, theselfevidenttruth.com. Be sure to buy some merch like this great shirt right here, 1776truth.store. Be sure to check us out on all the social media. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, all of that. You get the point. That being said,
Yep.
this is Massey.
Adios.
I'm Mike. Thank you so much to Gloria.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. We love you guys. Have a great night.